It was dark on a cold, calm country road when she let go of my hand. Placing a fluorescent armband on me, she smiled and said, "You don't need me anymore. The next step is yours." Contest chair, friends. Nobody ever told me that I would have to let go. Only that, like so many others, I needed a hero. We all have heroes, don't we? We need someone to look up to in sports, hobbies, careers, in life. Someone to inspire us, to show us what's possible beyond what we can see. But what happens when you have to go where your hero can't or hasn't gone before? For many years, my mother was my hero. Having had to leave school at age 14, she educated herself at home while raising 7 children. She gave me a deep love of learning and taught me how to take precious moments to look after myself. We didn't talk about mindfulness back then. We just did it, taking a moment to share a cup of tea and a chat with friends. And still, she worked hard and heartily in the home. Mum's heroic influence did not die when she died. As I made my way through life when faced with different challenges, I'd often consider, what would Mum do here? I followed her passion for education. I followed her path through parenthood. And I followed her example of those precious self-care moments. But then, new voices of a new era to taunt and haunt me. You can have more. You can have it all. This was new ground my mother hadn't travelled. Parenthood, the career, everything. In despair and confusion one night, I had that dream. As Mum and I walked hand in hand in the cold, dark country road, she let go of my hand and said, "You don't need me anymore. The next step is yours." Heroes come in all shapes, sizes, and ages. Last year, I climbed a mountain with 2 of my sons. Croagh Patrick is 764 meters high. That's high. For me, that's my Mount Everest. You see, when it comes to physical exertion, I am extremely compassionate with myself. When I begin to break a sweat, I know it's time to cool down. But having had 2 failed attempts to climb the mountain before, I was determined to complete it this time. My legs were aching, my heart was racing. I wasn't even halfway up when I met my sons sing on their way down. At first, they tried to convince me to turn around. Looking down, it was tempting to give up. Have you ever felt like giving up? Dogged, deeper in me. Sleep. Started, so I'll finish, and then did something I've never done before. I asked my sons for help. My son Philip came back up with me, my coach, my new hero. When the stones were shaking underneath my feet, he gave me his hiking stick. Step by step, he'd encourage me. Almost there. Just focus on the next step. The next step. Most of my adult life, that elusive next step had been my constant challenge when trying to navigate the work-home-life balance. Working outside the home and being a parent. Sometimes felt like trying to climb 2 mountains all at once. Building on my mother's heroic legacy of learning, self-care, hard, hearty work, I finally discovered that to have a little bit of everything. My next step was to ask for and accept help. Sound simple? But for me, this was new ground and new stepping stones for those coming after me, because maybe someday I'd be their hero, or at least one of them. When you're standing at that point, precipice, where your hero's influence ends, your unique individual impact begins. Look around and notice the admiring eyes looking towards you. Your heart may be racing, your body aching, but just remind yourself, your next step will be somebody else's stepping stone. Heroes, they bring us so far, but they can only bring us so far. When you don't need your hero anymore, the next step is yours.